And then
for fun.
usually the reaction is like,
Your foot is changing color.
and in fact it was getting swollen.
LDP is an ongoing bad decision.
Hello everyone, welcome to our LDP podcast.
Lost, dumb, and pushing.
That's sketch! That's sketch! I'm Seth, and with me is Ray, Johan, and Philip. So why are they all three over here? All three skated together for several years. They've traveled overseas together with a lot of experience.
And somehow still alive.
They're somehow still alive, that's why we're here. So let's start from the beginning. So this is Ray. She skated 1,000 kilometers in a month for the May warm-up challenge.
It happened with you, so it
Yeah.
was quite a crazy month that time.
I think it was the first one that we all
Yeah, that was the
participated
first one that we
together.
all participated in.
And it was quite a big show in Singapore as well.
Yeah,
it is.
Everybody was
Yeah,
into
it
it.
was. Yeah.
I remember you questioning your decisions along the way. It's like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, and
Over a
actually
month.
that very last one to clock 1,000, I did 200 kilometers in one day. 100 in the morning and the last 100 with you.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
You're probably still the record holder at National Stadium for 100 km.
400 km.
400 km.
Yeah. So another fun fact about Ray is that on her first ride with her LDP board, what happened to your board, Ray?
So backstory, I finally got myself an LDP, which cost a bomb. Went on a very nice skate along East Coast Park, and then on the way back, I kind of slipped and the board did a swan dive into a longkang.
A drain.
A
And
drain.
the drain was flooded. It was a flooded drain.
It was
I
a flooded
remember, yeah.
drain, so thankfully there was someone else around, and then the person went down to get it for me lah.
Yeah, to fish
Yes.
out the LDP. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, like she's probably the best person to test the longevity of components with negligence lah.
Yes, negligence is right because I don't check my stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. She literally had a ride where she rode the board and the wheel came off.
Yeah, that too. So yeah, I'm still alive now, so that speaks for itself.
And there was another trip where she brought the wrong part to Taiwan. So that's where all the mediocrity started. But that's
Yeah,
a story
so
for another day.
I'm
Yeah.
alive now, probably thanks to like these three
Yeah.
people around, literally.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, may not have been alive.
Okay, so yeah, that's Ray for you. And next we have Philip right beside me.
Hey.
Hey, Philip. So Philip has a very interesting history with LDP recently. I think
I
he's
have-
going to be a long-term issue, which is his PCL. He tore his PCL.
It was a grade 3 tear, by the way. Yeah, it's a complete tear.
Yeah, and somehow he still skates and nothing happened. So it's kind of interesting how it goes. Your setup's changed quite a bit since then, right?
Yeah, so my setup changed quite a bit. So because you can't really push that low with a very bad knee, so I have made all my setups really low, probably 5-6 cm above ground. Low.
How do you manage the humps in Singapore when
So I realized that if you're in Singapore, right, and you go below maybe 5, that's where you start getting caught on everything. So I ride big wheels. I ride wheels at least 100 mm. They are probably not fast, but I would say they're really good for training.
Yeah, and your riding style, despite being so low, you actually prefer to pump more than you push, right?
Actually, over the years, right, you come to realize there's a cycle in LDP. You start learning how to skate by pushing. Then you will come to a point where you will start to like pumping. That's why everyone gets into LDP. Then you will come to another point that you realize pushing is actually more efficient. So I'm probably at that stage now.
Right. Not because of the injury.
Not so much of the injury. If I could pump, I would rather pump. But yeah, because at this stage, pushing is much more efficient.
Back then, when I first knew you, all of us actually have a nickname for you,
Yeah.
the King of Cranks.
I am still the king of cranks, but I have cheated a bit with some other really nice bushings.
On one or two of our skates, I think along East Coast Park, I actually had trouble trying to keep up.
Yeah,
With you.
me too. Like
Yeah.
he pumps with headwind when all of us are like, how's he doing it? I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's headwind.
I think that was probably pre-PCL.
It was pre-PCL.
Yeah.
Definitely pre-PCL.
I cannot meet any of my PRs now post-PCL. I'm trying to get there, but the knee is not letting me. But yeah, so I'm still out here skating.
Yeah, here you go, guys. So
Yeah.
that's Philip.
And that's
And
me, yeah.
next we have Johan. So Johan, actually for you, it's quite interesting when it comes to traveling for LDP. For you, quite recently you've done 11 countries. Is that right?
Yeah, I think I've traveled to at least 11 countries and 25 different cities with my longboard before. Yeah, I think one of the reasons why I picked up longboarding was during COVID. There was nothing. We couldn't travel and all. And I used to surf, right? So longboarding was like a really good solution to board sport, right? That got me kind of close to what surfing was like. After travels reopened again, and I just got to know about like how LDP could really bring you around places, and I heard about people like Adrian who have traveled the world with his longboard, right? And I find that's really liberating. Right after that, I decided to do my own travels all around the world. Yeah.
Nice. So recently,
Mm.
you broke your ankle.
Oh, yes,
the
I
trip?
did.
Would you like to share more about how
Oh,
it happened?
well, yeah, along the way we've gotten different types of injuries, right? Like, but I have to say there's a lot of our own carelessness, right? So last year in Okinawa, I was going downhill, but it was kind of like all right. It was a pretty hot day, bright day, but out of the blue, there was a little streak of water, and I wasn't paying attention. I was checking my phone for messages and stuff.
Messaging who?
Yeah, and a bunch of our friends were supposed to arrive, and this person beside me just landed, and I was just texting, and suddenly I slipped, right, and I fell, and I thought, oh no, this is it's a sprain, right? That goes my ride for today or so.
Yeah, keyword for today.
For today. So
Yeah, for today.
I limped around for 3 days, right? Thinking that it was just like a sprain, and then she said, I think your foot is changing color.
And in fact, it was getting swollen.
Yeah.
You
I was
could
like,
see.
yeah, maybe we should go and see a doctor, and true enough, they did a scan and they say that I have a fracture.
And that was the beginning of the trip, right?
That was the end of the trip.
Was the end of the
actually.
trip?
Yeah, that was really towards the last leg of my
right.
trip in Japan.
Okay.
I was already skating around Shikoku, an island, southern part of Japan, right, where it's kind of like a more remote area, and we've got beautiful bike paths. I skated across from Hiroshima with another friend of ours, Justin, right, and we explored Shikoku.
A lot of questionable decisions along the way, I believe.
Definitely, right. Yeah, definitely. Especially having to go through the rain and getting lost in the dark and such, right? But towards the end of our journey, when we went through this path where all these cherry blossoms were in full bloom, right? And it felt almost like a floral tunnel. And that was like the most amazing sight if ever seen,
It was
Yeah.
worth it. I think.
Yeah, it was worth it after all. Yeah.
So actually, weight loss tips lah. Skate Korea.
Skate Korea,
Skate
You
yes.
Korea.
will lose
You definitely
whatever
lose
weight
some
you want
weight,
to
yeah.
lose.
Weight loss tips is just skate. Just skate.
Yeah, just skate, full stop.
Just skate, full stop.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of you expected to stay in LDP that long, right?
No, I mean, LDP is an ongoing bad decision. I mean, let's put it objectively. Who wants to do a very high learning curve activity that puts you in the sun, in the heat, in distances alone? But we do. But all of us here, I mean, at least for me, I haven't regretted taking up this activity.
Yeah, in fact, I think it became a part of our identity also at
Yeah,
some
that's
point.
right.
We were like, hey, what do
Yeah.
you do for fun? I
Yeah.
skate.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
How do you then tell people what LDP is?
Yeah. So normally what I do tell people is I tell people I do distance skateboarding.
Yeah.
I believe that's the official name lah. It's called distance skateboarding. It tends to bore people if we go into details. So we just tell people distance skateboarding, I get on a board and then I skate for 20, 40, 60 km.
And then
for fun.
usually the reaction is like,
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Usually it's a shocked reaction
Yeah.
that we are skating that far.
Usually.
Yeah. I once got an answer like, so why a longboard over a bicycle? I said, in Singapore, you can bring a longboard on the train.
Yes.
A bike, not so much.
Yeah, that's right.
yes.
So, next question. What's your first setups? Okay, in fact, I think I'll start with mine. Okay. It's actually this wiggler here. Right now it's in the top mount configuration, but I started it out with a bracket. you can see like the scars on it, right? All these scars here, they are a result of me making the board run 5 cm to the ground just for distance, right? And I'm pretty sure Philip is feeling that nowadays.
Yeah, but I tend to run bigger wheels, so it doesn't really happen to me.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Back then, when we were doing the main warm up, all tanks released the dead boards. So that was quite a wheel to have on a long distance skate. Yeah, so I remember doing like 105 mm, dropping the board as low as I can, mounting the brackets above the platform just to get it down to that height. Yeah, those were the days. So Philip,
My first setup, unfortunately, I don't have it in me today. So my first setup, in fact, I don't have most of the parts because I sold most of them. Anyway, my first setup was an Antidote Hurricane with a Poppy and a Delirium. I believe most people started off on that board if you bought it in Singapore.
Yeah,
It's a
I
very
agree.
straightforward setup. There's no frills to it. But I guess over the years as LDP developed, by today's standard, it's considered a very high board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the high board ties in with like the components that you use.
Yep, that's right.
Back then, like the Insania, the Delirium, followed by
They were all
the
really high
Poppy.
components.
Yeah, the
Yes.
Poppy and the Hydra with the G-bomb brackets. These are generally high. And even more than that, like Hurricane's concave on the edges make it
Yeah.
even higher, right?
Yes.
I still think today the king of bracket pumping is the Hurricane.
Yes, I totally agree. If your feet can take it, the Antidote Hurricane is
Yeah.
one of the best for pumping.
Yep, I agree. So
Hmm.
Ray,
What's my first setup? If you know me a little longer, you know that I'll never remember anything about technicalities. In fact, most of my decks are Seth, help me set up. But I can tell you it is a Bandito. I was running bubblegum speed vents, and there was a Delirium that I won in our first and only 10K race that we had in Singapore. So that is
Yeah.
all I remember.
and I remember you picking bubble gums because
Because
it's
it's
bubble
pink.
gum. Yeah.
It's pink. It's
not-
for no other reason
Yep.
except for the fact that it's pink.
Yep.
So that really just tells you how I pick and choose the stuff I use. lah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way you pick components, like, oh, the bushings are pink. I want that bushing.
It fits the aesthetics of my board, and that's why I will use it. And I don't care how hard I have to work to use it, I will try to use it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
That's Ray for you. So Johan?
I also had a Hurricane actually, but my setup was a bit different because back then the available parts were not really that many. So I had it set up with a surfer rod, and I got my TTX, and that was what I ran for quite a long time. Back then there were not a lot of large wheel options too, so it was speed vents.
I think everyone here, or even the viewers watching, most of us started off with speed vents.
Yeah.
If you started around 2021, 2022, speed vents was the mainstream kind
That's
of
right,
wheel.
Yeah. I think all four of us had speed
Yeah.
vents on our first board.
At some point in
Yes.
time, yes.
Yeah.
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 Was it on your first?
It was on my
You
first
also-
board. I had pure min speed vents.
Oh.
I sort of outgrew speed vents,
Yep.
but then recently I've been missing it a bit, so I might get myself a set to try it out again.
It's really lightweight for 85.
Yeah,
mm.
that's right, that's right.
It
Yeah.
still has incredible performance today.
No,
The
and in fact,
mango ones. The mango ones are
Yeah.
very, very popular.
Yeah.
yeah, in fact, I was using it for our first few 100 km skates, just
Yep.
speed vents all the way,
Yeah.
just because it was the only ones I had and it was pink. So
Not anymore though. What's the color of it now anyway? Like it's
famous.
faded, isn't it?
it is just not pink anymore. I think it looks a little bit more, I don't know,
Brown.
dirty brown,
Brown.
puddle,
Brown.
water.
Been through a lot. Been
Yes.
through a lot. So when did LDP become serious for you guys?
LDP, I don't think it has ever become serious. It's just a hobby I like to do.
Right.
I mean, if you serious, but if by serious you mean go and compete and all that, probably not. But as a form of cardio that I do weekly, I think it's a great way to get your cardio to get your cardio in. Yeah.
I think for me, skating is a sport that makes me feel very free. In fact, the first time I got on a longboard, I think that moment just changed my entire life. I would say that I wasn't really serious or like training until we had that 42 km
Yeah.
event in Singapore.
yes,
I think
yes.
that was the very first time I
42K.
actually knew what I was doing when it comes to training. And I actually tried to put in the effort for that so that I don't know if you remember that stretch was along Sentosa, right? Up and down that stretch. And my strategy for that was to basically push on a single leg for 30 pushes, pump. Way back 30 pushes, pump. Just like
So it's a
that.
very systematic sort
Yeah.
of way to complete the laps. Like it's the
Yeah.
same way throughout every single
Correct.
time, right?
So in fact, I think you were saying it was like infinite pushes. You
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah. I remember we had a term. We had a term for it. Like
I can't remember
Yeah, I
what
can't
is
remember
it
this
now.
exact
Actually, it's
term,
been a
yeah.
while, but yeah, it was like infinite pushing.
I mean, you guys were so serious for that one. My only strategy for that race was to turn up in smaller wheels. That's all I did. I think at the end of the day, LDP appeals to the part of me that likes building stuff. I mean, most people might not realize it, but every deck that we have, optimizing it is part of a process of building. So I mean, if you're like into things like Minecraft and stuff like that, LDP might work because you are building something that you're going to be using
Yep.
and something that you want to have fun on. For me, that's where the appeal of LDP
the
lies.
tinkering.
Yeah, the
but
tinkering,
Not so
yeah.
much for Ray though.
No, I
Right.
think for me, if I were to sum up LDP, it's really the word freedom, because that was what I felt. Yeah, when I got on the board, it was that that feeling of being very free and very happy, and that's what makes me
Yep.
continue.
And somehow you still
doing
went with 100 kilometers, questioning yourself every 10. It's like, oh, it's just 20? It's
Eh,
oh,
yeah.
there's 70
No,
to
so
go.
actually,
No.
we had some
It's like-
conversation about how after you start skating distance, right? Distances don't make sense to you anymore.
Ah, yes, that's
Yeah.
true, that's true.
You'll be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
20 only what? That's just what, 1 hour?
Yeah, it becomes a rhythm. But
Yeah.
after a while, you'll be like, why am I still doing it?
Yeah.
And then you look at the time and I'm like, oh, that's half a day gone. That's pretty much how it is
True,
for
true.
LDT.
Yes.
So I mean, when you start skating, right, as a beginner, 5 km will feel very far to you. Then you will keep skating and skating to a point where you will feel 10 km is like a walk in the park. And
Yeah.
maybe your difficult will be maybe 50. And so that's how distances get skewed the more
Yeah.
skating you
Yeah.
Yeah, at some point, I think we all outgrow
do. Distances.
the shorter distances
Yeah.
and we come to enjoy the at least a 5 or 10. If it's going to
Yeah.
be 5, then
It
it's
is
not a
fast.
skate, it's a sprint.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And then you have a board for short distance sprints, one board for long distance sprints,
Yeah.
and one board just so you can go very far distances.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're like me, just one board for everything, and just make it work.
Yes.
Yeah. Until your wheels fall off at least. So I remember the one time you didn't check your hardware. And
Yeah. No, I think I wasn't skating. I hadn't skated for a while, and then
Yeah.
we went out for a skate.
Yeah.
And then all I remember was I was like, wheel feels off. Oh, wheel came out. Yeah. I think we couldn't even find that nut for it. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
somebody had an extra lah. If not,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you're not the only one that experienced the wheel falling out, you know
Yeah,
that, right?
there was there were a lot of different incidents. Wheel falling off,
Yeah.
you know. What's that?
Kingpins breaking.
Kingpin breaking.
Kingpin breaking,
you know.
I think
I think
yeah.
I have broken the most kingpins among all of
Philip
us.
is famous for that.
My record was breaking 4 kingpins in the first half of 2024.
Yeah.
So which is why I eventually moved on from single kingpin RKP trucks.
Yeah. Yep. And for Johan, it's not only the wheel that came out, the whole axle left
yeah.
the truck.
I was just skating on the path,
Yeah.
right, that I usually skated, and it was quite fortunate. I wasn't like going full send, right, or anything.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, the wheel came off, right? No, wait, the axle was I couldn't find it, you know. I had to walk the walk of shame.
The walk of shame. The walk of shame.
Oh,
Yes,
pick
yes.
down the
Walk
board,
of
and
shame.
that walk of shame, I'm sure everyone knows. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember my walk of shame. Right? I broke my
I
copy
remember
kingpin.
every one of my shame.
Yeah. The point where you broke your ankle,
Yeah.
did you ever consider quitting?
No, I think the first thought of was, oh no, when can I skate again?
Right.
Or rather, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna be wasting the next few days. No hesitation. I was like, okay, to be fair, when I fell and I broke my ankle, I didn't really know that it was already broken.
Yep.
But I was like, oh no, it's a sprain. That's it for the rest of today. You know, I was like,
Today.
yeah, for the
Today.
rest of today. So I was like, okay, you know what? We're gonna take a few days of break and we're gonna come back to skate after.
A few days turned into.
Yeah, 2 months. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's true. So, you know, after I tore my PCL, right? I was out for 6 months. The first thing I was thinking of at the point of the fall, right, was when can I skate again? And that was actually the first question I asked the doctor. Then the doctor said, no, bro, you
Yeah.
got to sit this out for 6 months at least. So yeah.
Yeah.
and,
So
and you have pretty rotten luck with cyclists as well.
Yeah, I have pretty rotten luck with cyclists. So I have the curse of cyclists in Singapore. I can do nothing and I still get hit by cyclists. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
literally
that's-
standing still.
literally standing still by the side of the road, I still get hit by cyclists.
yeah, and also as y'all were talking about your injuries, right? It just reminded me I fractured my wrist skating. And the first thing I did after was continue skating because I didn't think it was a fracture. And after I realized it was a fracture, got the cast on and all, what I told myself was, I fractured my wrist, not my legs, what? So I continued skating
Yeah.
like that.
yes,
and
yes.
in fact, I picked up longboard dance at that time because I could
Yes,
still use the other hand to flip the decks.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was fun. And I think that sums up all our mentalities like, actually
Yeah,
when it
it's like,
comes
oh,
to
if
skating.
I can't use this hand to tiger claw, I'll learn
Then
the other
I use
hand.
the other side.
So the moral of the story is we are not here to discourage you from skating. We are
Yeah.
just here to say how much passion we have for the sport despite the injuries.
So as you can see, we all have really bad decisions made along the way, but somehow we're still here. And that brings us to the end of the episode. For the next episode, we will talk about Singapore in general and how it is a country for LDP. So that's it for this video. If you like the content, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Happy skating!
Bye-bye.
Why I do this to myself? What?
Lost, dumb, and pushing.